Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Ukrainian troops are carrying out a record number of artillery fire at Russian military points. Russian troops cannot escape the American HIMARS missiles. Explosion sounds were heard in many critical areas. Thanks to the successive actions of Ukraine, the Russian troops are looking for a solution to escape, but this is no longer given the opportunity. Violence of the operations launched in Luhansk is increasing. In the event that Svatov, the critical area on this front, is completely recaptured, Ukraine could take control of the rail line from the north where Russian troops are flowing supplies. If this happens, the defense lines of the Russian troops in the region will gradually weaken due to the inability to provide sufficient supply. In other words, if the Svatov-Kremen route is under the control of Ukrainian troops, the military shipments made by Russian troops to the Syevad or Donetsk and Lysychansk regions will drop drastically. If all of this happens, Russian military equipment and ammunition will be prevented from reaching the Luhansk front, which is of critical importance for the countries, and Russia's control on this front will begin to be completely lost. According to breaking news, Ukrainian troops have launched HIMARS operations in the key area Svatov. Ukrainian troops, which have been actively using missile systems from the United States in the regions, especially in recent days, this time attacked the critical points of the Russian soldiers in the region. It was reported that this attack was carried out using HIMARS missile systems, hitting 8 times in a row even in just a short time. After this move made from different directions, explosion sounds echoed from the region. Ukrainian troops are making record shots. According to last-minute statements, Ukrainian soldiers carry out up to 7,000 artillery attacks against critical points of Russian troops, even in one day. It is known that this requires a lot of ammunition. Countries are also helping in this regard. According to the statements, these artillery munitions mostly come from countries such as Pakistan, Germany, England, and France. Ukrainian army, which carries out between 4,000 and 7,000 artillery strikes every day, has so far neutralized thousands of Russian military resources and equipment. In such cases, the importance of aid from countries becomes more critical. It is known that critical military equipment such as HIMARS missile systems from the United States and air defense systems from many countries are quite effective in the course of the war. According to breaking news, Mi-23 Hawk and Aspide air defense systems have reached Ukraine from Spain. These air defense systems, which arrived in Poland on November 4th, have now reached the territory of Ukraine. According to the statements, 4 Mi-23 Hawk and 2 Aspide air defense systems have been transferred. These military equipment are expected to be deployed and prevent airstrikes on Ukrainian territory. Especially in these days when air attacks are increasing, such support is of great importance on behalf of Ukraine. In addition, according to the breaking news, the expected news from the United States came. It has been reported that NASAMS air defense systems, which will be sent to Ukraine, have reached the territory of Ukraine. These systems, which are very good in air defense, will be able to prevent the air attacks of the Russian soldiers when they reach the country. In this way, Russia's efforts towards airstrikes will be completely in vain. Ukraine also continues to force Russian troops to withdraw on many fronts. Ukrainian armed forces announced that this time they repelled the attacks of the Russian troops around the Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kharkiv fronts. As it is known, each of these fronts is of critical importance for countries. This led to an increase in the effort for dominance among the soldiers. Even though Russia wanted to achieve success by deploying to the regions on these fronts since the beginning of this war, which it started months ago, it could not achieve the desired success. On the contrary, it is losing more and more from the success it aims, and it is getting further away from these goals with the defeats. Moreover, as it is known, these losses cause an increase in the confusion within the country. It turns out that as long as the escalating tensions between many senior officials and commanders in Russia continue, the errors will continue to increase. This situation, on the other hand, will cause the motivation of the Russian soldiers fighting at the front to decrease gradually and even lose their will to win. For Russia, this may cause much bigger problems to be faced. On the one hand, the Russian forces continue to carry out attacks in the regions with their last remaining forces. It was reported that this time, Russian troops carried out 4 missiles, 19 airstrikes, and more than 75 attacks with multiple launch rocket systems. At the same time, Russian forces attacked more than 35 places as a result of these moves. Although many areas continue to be damaged day by day, rebuilding and repairs have already started for these damages. Every time a repair is made, the ammunition used in these attacks, which does not even contribute to Russia's regional dominance, is wasted. Despite this, Russia continues its attacks, which attracts such a reaction and receives great reactions. Moreover, the fact that he carries out these attacks by taking into account the sanctions imposed on the countries makes us think that his intentions regarding the war may not be very good. Ukrainian troops continue to increase their effective attacks. This time, it neutralized 14 Russian soldiers, an unmanned aerial vehicle checkpoint, 3 armored vehicles, and 3 ammunition storage points, especially in the Kherson and Borislav regions during the day. These losses, which are increasing day by day, cause serious problems for Moscow. In particular, the destruction of critical points such as ammunition storage points inflicts great damage on Russia. Fact that Russia, which is dealing with difficulties, also deals with such problems may further reduce its offensive and defensive power in the war. Moreover, the opposite is happening in Ukraine. Thanks to the various weapons and defense systems sent to the Ukrainian troops, the Ukrainian soldiers have been getting stronger since the beginning of the war. This allows them to have an advantage over the Russian soldiers. At the same time, it was reported that Ukrainian troops carried out an airstrike on an area where 200 Russian soldiers were stationed in the Kakhovka region. It is stated that as a result of this attack, many Russian soldiers were neutralized. Russia, which has lost thousands of its soldiers since the beginning of the war, will have to deal with big problems if it inflicts more casualties. Moscow, which is currently dealing with major problems in the military field, declared partial mobilization in the country as a solution to this situation. However, he could not achieve the desired goal in this regard. On the contrary, their losses increased day by day. These soldiers, who were sent to the fronts, did not know what to do because they did not receive adequate training. As these soldiers, who did not know what to do, leave their commanders, they suffer serious losses. If other solutions cannot be produced for these losses, defeats will be inevitable. Moreover, as it is known, these defeats increase the tension in Moscow. As a result of the increasing tension, disagreements between the officials and the commanders are starting to break out. Moreover, the Russian soldiers left alone on the fronts by their commanders are cornered. In the coming days, the importance of each move will now determine the fate of the countries in the course of the war. If Ukraine is able to maintain the military superiority, Russia will suffer greater and greater defeats. With the increase in its various aids to Ukraine in recent days, Russia may be completely helpless, because most of the attacks he will carry out will be wasted. In the coming days, we will see how the war will progress. Now every move has become quite critical. In these days when the violence of the war has increased, both sides should be very careful about every step. Now, the steps taken and the decisions made should be made in a strategic direction. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.